Hey, estudiantes. Welcome back to our English Learning Podcast. We get a lot of questions about how to sound more natural and fluent in English.
And one of the biggest hurdles, especially for Spanish speakers, is mastering irregular verbs.
Right. Like, you open your textbook and there's just page after page of these verbs that just don't seem to follow any rules.
Yeah, and it can be so frustrating trying to memorize them all.
But here's the thing. There are actually patterns and connections that make them easier to remember. And once you start seeing those patterns, it's like a light bulb goes off.
Yeah, it's true. And that's what we're going to be diving into today.
We're going to help you unlock the secrets of irregular verbs.
And we're going to explore this fascinating thing called linking.
Linking?
Yeah. Basically, it's how native speakers connect words together in a way that makes their speech sound smooth and effortless.
Oh, I think I know what you mean. Like when words kind of blend together.
Exactly. And, it can be really tricky for non-native speakers to understand because it's not something that's usually taught in textbooks.
So today we're going to break it all down for you.
We'll give you the tools and the techniques you need to sound more natural and confident when you speak English.
All right, so let's start with irregular verbs.
Yeah.
Now, you've probably already memorized lists and lists of these.
Right, and it can feel overwhelming.
Totally. But what if I told you that there's a way to make it easier?
There is.
There is. Instead of memorizing each verb individually, we're going to look for patterns and groups.
Oh, like families of verbs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For example, let's take the verbs drink, sing, and swim.
Okay.
What do they have in common?
Well, they all end in ink.
Right. And now think about their past tense forms.
Drank, sang, swum.
You got it. Did you notice how they all change from ink to ank?
Oh, wow. You're right.
Pretty cool, right? That's because they belong to the same family of verbs.
So if you can remember the pattern, you don't have to memorize each individual verb.
Exactly. It's like having a master key that unlocks a whole bunch of verbs.
That's amazing. I wish I had known this when I was learning English.
Me too. But hey, it's never too late to learn new tricks, right?
Right.
So let's look at another example. Think about the verbs take, shake, and make.
Okay, take and shake, shook. Shake and make, made.
Perfecto. They all follow the same pattern in the past tense, changing from ache to ook.
So it's like a formula.
It is. And once you start recognizing these formulas, it becomes much easier to remember the past tense forms.
This is so helpful. I can already feel my brain making connections.
I know, right? And the best part is that these patterns apply to tons of irregular verbs.
So we're not just memorizing random words, we're actually understanding the underlying structure of the language.
Exactly. And that understanding is what's going to help you sound more natural and fluent.
Okay, so we've talked about patterns, but what about pronunciation? There are some tricky sounds in English that can be difficult for Spanish speakers.
Absolutely. For example, the I sound in words like drink and sing.
Ah, yes. The Spanish I is very different.
Right. So to get that authentic English sound, you need to aim for something closer to the Spanish.
Like drink and eating.
Exactly. It might feel a little strange at first, but trust me, it makes a big difference.
Okay, I'll try it.
And here's another tip. Think about the past tense of drink.
Drank.
Perfect. Now remember, Will Smith in I Am Legend calling for his dog Sam.
Oh, yeah, Sam.
It's that same clear sound, drank, not drunk.
I see. So it's not like the Spanish A.
Nope. It's more open and relaxed.
Got it. I'm going to practice that one.
I actually have a little trick that helped me remember the verb shrink.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Back when I was first learning English, I was obsessed with this music file sharing program called Shrink.
Shrink.
Yeah. It will help me, shrink those big music files so I can fit more songs on my computer.
I see. So you connected the verb to a personal experience.
Exactly. And it made it so much easier to remember.
That's a great idea. I'm going to try to do that with other verbs.
Yeah. Think about your own stories or images that can help you remember them.
Like maybe I could think of the verb grow and picture a plant growing really tall.
Exactly. The more you can connect these verbs to your own life, the easier they will be to remember.
This is making so much sense now. I feel like I'm finally starting to crack the code of irregular verbs.
That's awesome. And remember, it's all about practice. The more you use these verbs, the more natural they will become.
Okay, I'm ready to practice. What other families of verbs can we explore?
Well, how about we take a look at the verbs that change from I to A in the past tense, like begin, swim, and ring.
Oh, yeah. Begin, swim, swum, ring, rang, rang.
You got it. See? There's a pattern there, too.
This is so cool. I'm starting to see patterns everywhere now.
I know, right? It's like a whole new world is opening up.
And it's all thanks to these families of verbs.
Exactly. So keep exploring, keep practicing, and keep having fun with it.
I will. I can't wait to see what other secrets we can uncover.
Me too. All right. So we've tackled irregular verbs. Now let's move on to the fascinating world of linking.
This is where things get really interesting.
And it's going to help you take your English fluency to the next level.
Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So linking, it's like the secret handshake of fluent English speakers.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, think about it. When we speak, we don't really pronounce each word in isolation, right?
I guess not. It's more like a continuous flow of sounds.
Exactly. And linking is all about connecting those sounds together smoothly and naturally.
So instead of saying, I closed it,
Yeah.
like this with a clear break between each word,
You would say, I closed it, almost as if it were one word.
I closed it. Wow, that does sound smoother.
Right. It's like the T at the end of close is jumping over to the beginning of it.
And it creates this really nice flow.
Exactly. And the cool thing is that this happens all the time in English, especially with past tense verbs ending in ed.
Can you give me another example?
Sure. How about I used it?
Okay, so instead of I used it, it would be I used it.
Yeah.
Got it. So the did sound at the end of used connects to it.
Precisely. And it works with tons of other verbs too, like liked, avoided, edited, created.
Seems like a rule.
Not exactly. It's more like a natural tendency in spoken English. You know, our vocal cords are always trying to find the most efficient way to move from one sound to the next.
And connecting those sounds just makes things easier.
Exactly. It's like taking the scenic route instead of driving through a bunch of stoplights.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So how about a more complex example?
Okay. Let's try. I picked it up.
This one seems trickier.
It is a bit more challenging because there are multiple linking opportunities. Listen carefully. I picked it up.
I picked it up. Wow. You're right. There's linking between picked and it, and then again between it and up.
You got it. It's like a chain reaction of smooth sounds.
I'm starting to see how this can really transform my pronunciation.
Right, it absolutely can. And the best part is that the more you practice, the more natural it will become.
Okay, I'm ready to practice. What other examples can we try?
Well, we've focused a lot on linking with it, but it also happens with other words like prepositions.
Prepositions. In, on, at.
Exactly. For example, instead of saying point at it, you would say point a tit.
Point a tit. Ah, I see. The T at the end, point, blends with the A and at.
Precisely. And it works with other prepositions too, like eliminate it becomes eliminate dit, and want it turns into one tit.
So the final T or tit sound just kind of glides into the next word.
Exactly. And that's what makes linking so smooth and effortless.
This is amazing. I never realized how much linking was going on in everyday English.
It's everywhere. And once you start listening for it, you'll be amazed at how much easier it is to understand native speakers.
I bet you're right. I can't wait to start paying more attention to it.
And the best part is that as you become more aware of linking, you'll naturally start incorporating it into your own speech.
Which will make me sound more fluent and natural.
Exactly. It's like adding the finishing touches to a masterpiece.
Okay, I'm officially a linking convert. Now what else can we explore? You know, it's funny, I've been studying and speaking English for years, but it's only now that I'm really starting to hear how it's actually spoken, you know, with all the linking and the connected sounds.
It's like you've been looking at a painting up close, and now you're finally stepping back and seeing the whole picture.
Exactly. And it's so much more beautiful and intricate than I ever imagined.
It really is. And that's the beauty of language learning. The more you delve into it, the more you discover.
So let's take a moment to recap what we've learned today. We started by exploring irregular verbs and how understanding their patterns can make them so much easier to remember.
Right. We talked about how verbs can be grouped into families like the ink to ink family or the a to ook family.
And how connecting those verbs to personal experiences or images can really help with memorization.
Yeah, it's like giving your brain a little hook to hang those verbs on.
Exactly. And then we moved on to the amazing world of linking.
Linking. It's the glue that holds spoken English together.
And it's what makes native speakers sound so smooth and effortless.
We talked about how linking happens with past tense verbs ending in ed.
Like closed it, becoming closed it.
And how it also works with prepositions like point at it, turning into point a tit.
And even with vowels and consonant clusters.
It's like a whole secret code that unlocks fluency.
It really is. And the best part is that anyone can learn it.
Absolutely. It just takes practice and awareness.
So, to all our listeners out there, don't be afraid to experiment with linking. Try it out in your everyday conversations and see how it transforms your pronunciation.
And remember, the goal is not to sound exactly like a native speaker, but to find your own voice and to communicate clearly and confidently.
And if you're looking for more tips and tricks on mastering English, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, English Learning Podcast.
We have tons of videos covering everything from grammar to vocabulary to pronunciation.
And we release new videos every week, so hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out.
And while you're at it, why not share this video with your friends who are also learning English?
The more the merrier, right?
Right.
Learning a language is always more fun when you have friends to practice with.
Exactly. So keep practicing, keep learning, and keep having fun with English. Hasta la próxima.
Thank you for joining us today on English Learning Podcast. I want to congratulate you for taking the time to improve your English. Every step counts, so keep moving forward and don't stop. If you enjoyed this content and want to learn more, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button so we can keep creating videos like this. Let us know in the comments what level of English you're at and what topics you'd like us to cover in the next episode. Also, check out the links in the description for additional resources to help you keep advancing. See you in the next video. And remember, English Learning Podcast is here to help you reach your English goals. Keep learning.